Hi, everyone, and welcome to Book Club with Bay. I am Bay, and this is Bay. Say hi, Bay.
Hi, Bay.
Oh, I was like, and this is my Bay. Never mind. She's not here. Today we're talking about Shifting Shadows, which is an anthology of short stories that take place all in the Mercy Thompson universe. We've been meaning to do this, I think, for a while.
4 years, 3 years, multiple years.
Like that.
The majority of my son's life, I believe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're getting around to it right now, which is fine. And yeah, so it's an anthology of short stories, and they're all like in the book put in chronological order.
And if one was to read this within the book in its entirety, within reading the Mercyverse books, that you would read it after Nightbroken.
Yeah.
I mean, you can read it later, but not before, because the last one is the last deleted chapter, I guess.
Yeah.
Is from Nightbroken, so.
Which
I'm not gonna lie, because I was messaging you about this the other day. I'm doing a Mercyverse thing. If I hadn't have had to pause for a day and a half, because I paused for a day and a half to avoid the horse talk. If I had not done that, I would have been able to do Nightbroken before this. But no, I finished Dead Heat and then had to finish and then go straight into this so I could finish it. But
yeah,
I forgot. I know I ranted to you in text. I know we've spoken about this before, but let's just pause for a moment and talk about Dead Heat again.
Okay, let's do it.
I was sitting there listening for over half an hour. Like, I'm not exaggerating, over half an hour when I paused and was texting you about them talking about what is horse conformation, what's a long neck, what a tippy is, what makes a nice horse, what's a good temperament. Let's discuss the ethics and moralities in Arabian horse breeding. And
yeah.
Like her other ones, right? Like, you know, like her dog fighting is bad PSA. Like we brought these up, right? Is there a paragraph, maybe two, in the entirety of a book? It's a paragraph or two. And it wasn't the only time, because this was just the first time they were viewing the horses. They went to view the horses the second time, and then we got to listen about and then we got to go to the horse show, and it's like she needs to change. She needs to like alternate her posting, and Anna's like, "What's alternating her posting?" And I did know this because I used to have, you know, me. But like, you know, he's like, "Well, you know, when the horse is trotting in a circle, and you're supposed to post to the outside leg, not the inside leg, because the inside leg is already carrying more weight." So blah, and she's not doing that. So now she's going to have to sit a beat. And Anna's like, "What's sitting a beat?" I'm like, "I don't care." This is a werewolf book about a serial killer, like child murdering fae. Like,
it's about horses, actually.
Can we please remember that this is a werewolf book? Like,
no.
Look, and like I texted you as well, my favorite TV show is Heartland. It is a show about horses. She's a horse whisperer. Like, obviously, like, it's about the characters as well, but there is a horse of the week every episode. He fixes it. Like, and the entire show is horse-based. Horse-based. Love it. However, if Heartland started introducing werewolves into it, I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is a Wendy's. Why are there werewolves?
So this is werewolves. Why is there a Wendy's?
Yes, like, horses belong in, and one of my favorite book series growing up was Saddle Club. Like, I love my horse stuff, okay? I love it. But not in my werewolf books. And no one picking up that book thought that they were going to learn about the history of Arabian horse breeding.
I'll be honest too, I absorbed none of it. Like, for all of that, I have no idea what any of it means. Like, every time I reread that book, I go, oh, I don't care. And like, like it gets expelled. Like, all of that
Like,
knowledge gets
and
thrown
she
into the dumpster.
Yeah, and she knows how to have knowledgeable characters without them discussing for 10 hours. The thing, you know, like it's like if Mercy, like if we had to listen to like an hour, 1 to 2 hours of a Mercy book, listening to how an engine works.
Yeah.
So she knows how to do it because we don't. But I don't know. Is Patty like, does she breed horses? Like, I don't for some
know.
reason. Maybe she got ADHD and she was just hyper fixated on horses that week, and she just had to throw in all this stuff. I don't know, but it was a bit much, so I had to pause. So luckily, I remembered how Nightbroken ends, so the chapter was fine, or the scene was fine, but I don't. I like Dead Heat less and less every time. And
Yeah,
it's because
like,
of the horse info dumping.
I know that like
Exclusively.
the first time we read it, we really liked it, and I don't remember why.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I think I did like the horse. Like, I think I acknowledged that it went on for a while, right? But I was like, oh, horses, because I was excited, right? Because horses. But every time the horse info dumping just gets more aggravating. Because when it actually remembers that it has a plot, it's good. It's great. It's fine. I like the plot. It's
the horses are definitely padding that word count. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what she could have replaced the horse talk with.
Well, usually more plot.
I think literally anything else. Literally anything else.
Well, the issue in, I guess something I've noticed in Alpha Omega books. Sorry, we're talking about this now. Is that so? I apologize. I woke up not that long ago. The Adderall has not completely kicked in yet.
That's fine.
In Mercy books, because there's a pack of werewolves, there's plenty enough fodder for side plots. Well, like, we can go off and investigate George's BDSM sex life for like a minute. And by the way, found out in this book that was not just a random thing that came out of nowhere.
Yep.
And I was like, yes. You know what? I take it back. I was like, fine. I acknowledge it. I was like, okay.
I feel like it's a weird random tidbit to throw in there, but sure.
It is a weird random tidbit, but it's been there the whole time, and we just didn't know about it. And that is on us, not on Patty. Anywho,
what book is that in?
Soul Taken.
Okay.
And so you and I were like, out of nowhere, and it wasn't. I mean, it was, but like out of nowhere, 7 years ago. No, 9 years ago. Oh, send help. Okay, so George has been a sex fiend for 9 years. Anyway, not the point. But because there's like an entire pack of werewolves, there's lots of ways to generate side plots. Because one of the big challenges sometimes with writing a book, and especially with writing a whodunit or whatever, which is usually what a Mercy book is like getting enough like clues to last an entire book. And so that's what the side plots are for.
And also by the nature of Mercy's character as well, she's like, and the Tri-Cities, there's the Fae, there's the vampires, there's the wolves. And also occasionally a coyote issue. So sometimes, like, so for example, in Frostburn, like the pack gets kidnapped, everyone's like, what the hell? And then something else, like there was like 4 different things happening. They're like, oh wait, it's all the same person. And that's how it is in a lot of Mercy books. There's like 3 or 4 different things happening, and yet somehow they all converge into one at the end. So it's still like kind of the one plot, but it's like 3 plots at the same time.
And also though, there's usually some side story.
Nightbroken, for example, I'm just started it like 40 minutes ago or something. There's I need to find Coyote to get the walking stick. That's not related to the plot. It's side plot.
And like in Silverborn, I think it is Paul beating up Adam.
Oh yeah.
After.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that too.
That fight goes on for so long, by the way.
Well, because it's 2 fights. It's Mary Jo and I'm so frustrated again because like just starting Nightbroken, she's like, Honey hates me. Ariel is the only one that likes me. I'm like, Mercy, you're so she's so stupid. She's like, how often does Honey and Ben have to be like, we have your back before she? I think she ends up believing that they actually like her. I'm pretty sure that happens.
Like Nightbroken is the Honey book, by the way. Like it is.
Yeah, this is where she actually starts to be like, oh, Honey's not a vapid hoe like I thought she was. I'm like, how many times does she have to tell you she's not vapid before you believe she's not vapid? And she's a little bit vapid, but you know what I mean.
Well, I don't know that she's vapid so much as she likes nice stuff. And here's the thing. The trait of her liking nice things is negative in Honey and positive in Kyle.
Well, because Kyle's sassy while he does it.
Also,
Honey would never be so gaudy as to have hats on her erect penis statue. It's because
that's true.
Kyle is flamboyant with his lack of nice things.
But
whereas Honey is classy with her.
I'm just saying it is hypocritical of Mercy that she's like, ew, Honey likes nice things, and then she's like, Kyle, who likes nice things? And it's like,
Yeah, and I just can't wait for Mercy. I just hope that one day, I want Mercy to get over her Mary Jo burner. Because she's like, Mary Jo doesn't like me, but I like her. I'm like, but why?
I don't think she's going to. I think that's just the kind of person that Mercy is.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Although, and I just reread Storm Cursed. Mary Jo's fine in Storm Cursed. I start to not dislike her in Storm Cursed.
I can't remember. I'll let you know when I get there, okay? I'll let you know when I get there. But
she's got a cutesy boyfriend side plot.
Oh, that's right, yeah. Maybe she'll get better. I think from memory, yes, like in later books, she's not at least outright hostile.
Yeah.
She's neutral.
Yeah.
But okay. Are we just avoiding talking about this Samuel story?
Yes, we are. So okay,
how
so
should we read the little intro?
Yeah, let me get to it. Oh god, why is it like this? Oh no.
It looks fine on mine.
I don't have like a good table. Where's the table of contents?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6,
okay.
7th page.
So Silver, herein is the ill-fated romance between Ariana and Samuel. The first half of the story that continues in Silverborn. This is also an origin story of sorts because how he met Ariana is also tied up with the story of the witch, his grandmother, who held Samuel and his father for such a long time.
I have to say, if it had not been for the constant request for this story, I usually a teller of happy by the way, I think Patty is also delusional. I, usually a teller of happier tales, would have left this one alone. Or again, we do get an indication as to how old Samuel and Bran are, because as a historical note, and for those who need to know how old they are, Christianity came to Wales very early, perhaps as early as the 1st or 2nd century with the Romans. When exactly the events of this novella took place, neither Samuel nor Bran could tell me. Bran just smiled. Oh, because by the way, as well, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be hypocritical here. I don't care. I'm gonna be a hypocrite. I don't care that her characters talk to her the way that, like, she describes the way her characters talk to her in the same way that the cast describe it, and I'll tell you why.
She only does it with Bran.
Well, Samuel told me. No,
okay.
It's all of them, because also she doesn't outline. She's kind of got like a basic idea, and she just like lets it do its thing.
You know, I think it's an experience thing, because I'm getting to that point where outlining no longer helps me that much. I used to be very strict with outlines. I have discovered that it was part of my writing thing from Book Club Buffet. My writing process has evolved a fuck ton. I don't super strict outline anymore. I've gotten to where I know what the plot beats are, but I don't know. Sometimes you're writing and when I'm really thinking about what a character would actually do, I'm like, they wouldn't do this. And maybe some people, now I still don't interpret it as characters talking to me. My brain just doesn't work that way, but maybe that's what people mean when they're my characters, though. I
don't know. I don't know. Maybe because the end result isn't stupid. But I don't mind it so much with this. But yeah, she was like, Bran just smiled like a boy without cares, so I knew it hurt him to remember, and said, we don't pay attention to time that way, not then. Oh, sorry, we didn't. Samuel told me, when you just get so old, those first days blur together. I'm not a werewolf, but I can, after all this time, tell when Samuel is lying to me. I do know that the events in this story happened a long, long time before Moon called. Now, it appears that Samuel and Bran were turned around the time Christianity came to Wales, which would put them as old as close, 1900 years old, give or take a few
something
decades.
like that, yeah.
So they old. They very, 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 very
well,
very, very
and so
old.
I don't know if you've read 1-star reviews of Moon Called yet, or recently. Sorry,
not recently. We have read them, but I haven't.
Sorry, and also for context, something I like to do is if before I read a book, especially a romance novel or something, I will actually any book I will read 1-star reviews, and because usually 5-star reviews are it was good. Yay, and that's it, no information. 1-star reviews, rant, full page, absolute takedown, I'm trashing this thing, here's my rant. And I love that, because half the time I'm dumb nitpicks, thank you very much, moving on, I'm gonna read it. Or they'll be this thing happened and I freaking hated it, and I'll be ooh,
that sounds cool.
That sounds fun.
Love it.
I'd be not gonna lie. That sounds interesting. And so 1-star reviews are usually much more predictive of whether or not I'm gonna like a book, just because there's so much more information in them. And people just get very detailed, and I know what makes me mad, and I know the exact opposite of what makes me mad, so they help me. And the 1-star reviews of Moon Called really harp on Samuel being 200 years old when Mercy was 16. And I just gotta say, I think something they mix up is that Charles is explicitly said to be 200, and I think that they're extrapolating that Samuel's only that old. I do not remember how old I thought Samuel was.
Look, because
Back then when I first was reading it, I don't know if I was even thinking about it. I do not recall.
I know I wasn't. I just assumed old, like capital O, old.
Yeah.
Because Bran was human when he was. I don't know why as well. For some reason, in my mind, I just never pictured either like Samuel being an adult when he was turned, not just an adult, like old enough to have grays. Adult.
Yeah, me either.
And-
I actually thought it was
and
an interesting
Bran-
detail. Sorry.
And
talking about
Bran
stuff
is
right now.
like full, and Bran is like full, like
Santa Claus.
salt and pepper, whiskered,
Yeah.
you know, like, and he's like, like Bran's like 55, 60 at least.
I know. I was not expecting that either. I was like, gray hair. Get out of here.
Maybe even older, because I think I'll have to have a look. I think Samuel's child that just died may have been grown when he died.
Yeah.
Maybe. So that would put Samuel at, again, going back then, Samuel would have been maybe anytime between 30 and 50.
I just want to say too, like I'm not gonna, obviously because of copyright reasons, we're not gonna read the story out loud or anything like that. Also, it's very long. It's really a novella.
Yeah.
Or it's like a novelette. And to be clear, a novelette is like between a novella and a short story. It's like the thing between.
Yeah, it's kind of in between there.
But just to give you an idea of Samuel's vibe, and he maintains this vibe throughout the entire series. Even once he's like happy, he still has this vibe. Happy.
He's very morose, isn't he?
3 weeks to the day after I buried my youngest child, and several days after I buried my oldest.
No
is
one
like
cares about your dead babies, Sam.
You have so many dead babies.
I mean,
I think Sam might hold the world record for the number of dead babies.
Look, honestly, when it got to because it goes yeah, because Bran. Okay, so Bran here is described as his hair. His hair was threaded with hoary gray. I don't know what hoary gray is. It's Hoary, not as in like you hoary. I don't know what that. What does that mean?
Dirty, foul, lacking cleanliness.
Okay,
Ooh.
so dirty. Gray.
But I choose to believe it's this malicious, immoral, against morality.
Yep.
Is immoral gray hair.
Yeah, and his beard was an unfamiliar snow white, and like because I've spent years with Bran just being like this guy who generally looks 16, 17.
Yeah.
Except for when he decides to not look 16, 17. And I wasn't, even after he's like 3 weeks to the day after I buried my youngest child and several days after I buried my oldest, I still wasn't expecting Bran to be old. I guess in my head, I just thought maybe like Bran was just turned when Sam was a baby and then he came back somehow. And
I knew that Samuel was an adult, but like I guess I kind of expected quote unquote adult to mean like 18.
Yeah, I just never, ever, ever in my wildest dreams did I ever freaking headcanon or anything that like they had like lived a long human life. To me, Bran was changed at like 25 at the oldest, and even if Samuel grew up to be like a human, like until adulthood, like Bran had already been a wolf for years. That's just how I always imagined it. I just never pictured Bran getting old. And he's old enough to have snow white hair.
Yeah. So
but yeah, reading this first
I think we can
This
just kind of
is
go through
those.
the gist of this. Like, I don't
Yeah,
think
but
we
like,
need to. I don't really don't have to go plot
yeah,
by plot point by
no,
plot point,
but
and I don't really want to.
no, but going through, but like I said, they're going through just the first couple paragraphs of this, and it's like, so Sam's been suicidal for two millennia.
Oh my god,
2 millennia he has been suicidal.
he has been. Samuel
It's amazing.
is
It is amazing that he has made it this far.
so like we said. So like the intro says. Okay, this is the story of how Samuel met Ariana, and to be honest, you get the Cliff Notes version of this, like in Silverborn.
Yeah, I will say though, it does make the times it makes sense a bit more because it was like, they were, because we get snippets of the story with their mother, like with Bran's mother and Ariana, and we knew that they overlapped somehow, but I didn't know how type thing. And so this like cleaned that up, which was nice. It gave us a clean
Yes,
timeline.
I agree with that.
So Samuel's sad because his wife's dead, his children are dead. Dar rocks up and he's like, "Hi, don't kill yourself." And he's like, I guess, well, I can't now that you're here. And that's the first part of the story. And then
Yeah.
But we learned that Ariana has a beast form. I didn't know that Ariana has a beast form.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. But
it's interesting.
That's how she had to be in her beast. That's why her father would torture her. We learned that. He tortured her to enter her beast form because that's how she would protect herself. Then that made her more compliant with his demands because he could control it better. And that's how she made the Silverborn.
Yeah, and we just kind of go through like the early days of them being werewolves, which was honestly pretty interesting. Like,
yeah, I mean, the early days is like the early first couple centuries or something, because the grandmother was magically extending her life, or Bran's mother.
Which we see lots of witches do throughout the series, but yeah, we see, and we see the first several years of werewolfdom, and anytime in the series that anybody's like blah blah blah, maybe older than the Maroc, no.
He dated after almost Christ. Almost Christ is how far back he dates.
And also is the first werewolf. So, like,
was he the first werewolf? Because his father and his brothers was werewolves. So I thought they rocked up and were the ones that turned them.
You know what? You're right. I'm dumb.
He was among the first werewolves.
Yeah, he's among the. Well, then I guess maybe like, but I don't know how.
I mean, did she create them?
No.
I don't think we were told. It was
did she create
because it was no. Okay.
Why did it take away from that she created them? And
because he says she turned us into monsters, werewolves. So maybe because she ordered, because we don't find out towards the end of the story that the other werewolves in the pack are her husband, like Bran's father, and his brother and his brothers. Like,
which makes me think that she just created werewolves, and that she cursed.
She's like
her
what's
family.
her face in Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, she's Esther.
Yes, that's look. It's not confirmed, but that's how I kind of think. Because she just rocks up. She's got a couple of wolves with her. None of them had heard tell of stories of shifting wolves back then. It was just like what's happening, and it was that. And so Bran and Samuel are the only ones that can change back to human. but they have to do it when she's distracted, I guess. And Samuel
Yes.
kind of can't. If Bran wasn't there, being like, "You got to do your shift now, son," then he wouldn't. But
I'm
Bran
pretty
was
sure one of
most
these wolves
resistant.
is Sherwood Post.
They all died though. Did they all
That's true
die?
too. No,
Unless
Did
one
they?
of them, unless one of them got away.
sorry, it's been a minute since I've actually read this
Let-
one because I read it
Yeah,
like a month ago.
let me find.
Am I wrong? I could be wrong.
I am going to find when they do the thing when they break free, because that's when they all die, right? No.
I
Okay,
think
so
you're
he's-
right.
Well, I don't know how many of them were in the pack. I know that I think there was like 4 or 5 of them
But we
still, and
we learn that Sherwood is Samuel's brother. No. Is Bran's brother. Excuse me. And she turned her entire family into werewolves. So it stands to reason that at some point in this story, maybe we doggy interacted with Sherwood.
maybe.
And the only reason why I say that is that like this Patty does not get super detailed with any of like the environments or anything. Like that. And everything, I don't know how else to put this, but it feels kind of floaty. Like we're never really, and this is not really a criticism. Sam, if anything, feels very drugged the entire time and feels like he's not giving us a ton of detail, and we're in first person with Sam, which I would thank Patty to never do that to me again. Next time, put me in third person with Sam. I cannot handle it.
Yeah, so
no,
so
bad.
So with the pack, there was the one that there was Bran's brother who he snapped his brother's neck because he was that one. And that's when he lectured his. We didn't know who they were yet, but he lectured his father. He's like, "Are you really not going to help him? Are you really not? Fine, I'll do it because you can't." And snapped his neck. Then it was, I can't remember how the audiobook pronounces this, so I'm just going to do my best because I'm going with old school Welsh spelling here, okay?
I don't know.
I think this is meant to be like an early form of David, but Dafid. I think that's Daddy. I think that one was Daddy. Peter, that's Pedr, by the way, but I'm pretty sure that was pronounced Peter. Ada. Where are the other ones? Oh gosh, sorry.
And by the way, we don't learn Sherwood's name.
No. But he was like there was I just
Sherwood's
had the list
given name.
Yeah, I should have highlighted it because I just saw a list of everyone's name. I just saw the roll call and there we go. Daniel, Dafid, Peter, Ada, Da, and Sam. Which Da is Bran, because that's Welsh for dad. Which I like. I've never hated the Da thing. It makes my heart happy. I think that's what my dad called one of his grandfathers, by the way.
Yeah, that's never bothered me either. So,
meanwhile, Ariana's father is like, I'm gonna kill you, and okay, so where they all break free and most of them die or whatever, like Ariana's dad has like had his hand cut off and gave it to Bran's mum, and she's like, have some werewolves, and he's like, okay, werewolves are mine. Wolves attack my daughter and make her suffer, and then that's when they're like, no, and yeah. Bran gets pulled back under, and Sam is like, nope, and goes and helps Ariana, and he's with her for a year. I didn't realize they were together for a year.
Yeah.
Oh, and she has a friend. I can't remember the friend's name. Hader.
Oh yeah. That's right. I did not care.
Yeah, and
I cannot express how uninvested I was in the Samuel Ariana saga. I just don't care. I'm so sorry. I don't care. Crap.
See, and this is why we have notes as well, because not we. This is why I am very eternally grateful that Addie has the notes, and then when she's
you know what? You know what's funny is I took notes, just not for this. I reread everything else. I didn't reread this.
That's fine.
I'm so sorry. Because that's the thing is, before Addie did notes, I did the notes. It's not like I don't do notes. It's just if she's gonna do notes, I'm not gonna put in the work.
And when first she joined, she's like, I got so many notes, and you and me were like, excellent.
Yeah, I was like,
excellent.
Great.
You
I was
suck
like, excellent. A lackey. But no,
look, she does good notes. Okay, she does good notes.
I took notes. I just didn't do it for this story because I couldn't. I was like, I'm not rereading it. So.
And then he goes to rescue Bran, but then he thinks that Bran's dead or something. So then he ran back to Ariana, and they're together again. And then, because he doesn't. Look, it says that I'm pretty sure they were together for like a year or something, but he hadn't experienced the full moon yet.
I don't know. Like I said, he's
Underhill with her though. He's Underhill.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's why.
This is not, again, written in the most direct way possible.
No, but eventually, like, it gets a little bit sad for a minute there. Well, kind of, I guess, if you're invested, it gets sad, right? Because like, Ariana, Sam, and Hader are like, we'll be traveling people doing a thing, and you two can like, Samuel can sing for our room and board, and Ariana can be the meek little wife, and I can't remember what Hader is glamour to look like, but she's glamour to look human. And they're like, we'll just travel and do a thing. They're like, excellent. And then him and Ariana are like, I love you too. Mwah. And they do a smoochy smooch. But then the full moon comes and he changes into a wolf. And she's like, ah, and goes like, and accidentally kills Hader. And Sam's like, I have to leave. And then so he leaves. And then he finds Bran. And he's like, Daddy, I love you. And Bran's like, I love you too, son. And they go and eat the mum. And it's done.
Yep.
That's effectively the story. Lots of toing and froing and
anywho.
Well, is there a wolf version of a cat hiss?
No. Wolf. I don't know.
I can't.
But that makes me feel
whatever
weird.
It is.
I don't know. I don't like that. So anyway, the next one is called Fairy Gifts. This is about.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen this written before. Like I remember how it's said from the audiobook, Butte. But whenever I've seen it written, I've never heard it said. And
okay.
I'm like, I thought it was butt.
Sorry, because I guess like my whole life I've known that it was Butte, Montana. So that's fair.
Well, also like to be fair, in my defense as well, like we have places here called like Bald Knob, for example. There is a place somewhere up in Queensland, I think, Bald Knob. Dirty town. Wait, we've got a whole list. Give me a second. I'm going to give you some other ones. Lovely Bottom, Bullshit Hill, Pisspot Creek, Peculiar Knob. These are the names of places here, by the way.
Yeah.
Titwobble Lane, Pimple. We've got, so like I thought it was butt.
But if you're speaking of butts, but if you'll recall, from Frostburned Thomas, and then
what,
in
where did they come back?
Fire Touched,
It's
Thomas
this one, is it?
and
Excellent.
Margaret the Fae.
She is the daughter of the Flanagan. I still don't. I'm guessing the Flanagan is actually a thing because it's always just described as something we should know.
I've looked it up before. I feel like I didn't find anything. I have not found anything. Anyway,
The Flanagan fairy tale.
So this is about Thomas and Margaret.
Yes.
And so what the story actually bounces back and forth between present day and 1892 in Butte, Montana. And Butte, Montana it is like a mining town, but it used to have a much larger population than it does right now. And so the
and
1892
both timelines happened before Mooncold. Yeah.
And so when we see Margaret in Fire Touched, she is like recovering from some kind of ordeal. And we don't know what
and it's
kind of
briefly
ordeal.
touched on. Like it's mentioned that she was locked up in a mountain. Like that's in Fire Touch, but we don't. We get the detail here. We get the cliff notes, and this is the story.
Yeah.
So honestly, what is it with our asshole fathers? I mean, there's also some excellent fathers in the Mercyverse. There's excellent ones like Adam. I think Adam is an excellent father. But there's also just some absolute dick ones.
Is Bran count as an
House,
excellent father, or is Bran just like kind of 50-50 at this point?
I
feel like Bran's hit or miss.
Look, with Bran, maybe this also comes from like being raised in a Commonwealth country or something. Bran rarely puts family before duty. And when he does, everyone hates him for it. Okay? Just like the Queen. When she was still alive. Like duty was more important than frickin' anything to her, right? She loved her family to bits, but country and her duty was more important. Except for when Princess Diana died. And that was the one time where she was like, you know what? My very young grandsons just lost their mother. I'm going to take them to Scotland for a week. So they can have an ounce of privacy while they mourn. And the world hated her because where was she? And you know that would happen if like something bad happened to one of his kids or something and he needed a minute, everyone would hate him for needing a minute. So Bran is he's dutiful I wouldn't necessarily say he's a bad father, but he's definitely not getting Father of the Year either.
Yeah, like you wouldn't want to be his kid.
Oh, especially in like look, Samuel gets the like poor Charles, poor Charles, because he's like, no, Samuel's too precious and fragile to kill everyone, so I'll just make my baby son do it.
Well, to be fair, Samuel is too precious. Like Samuel is just like made of.
I
Samuel's
know,
made of
but
glass.
it's not.
Like he is.
Yeah, well, he spent 2 millennia suicidal, didn't he? Also, we need to find out what the fuck. I know you don't want another Sam-centric story, but feel like we need to have one because there is something sus happening with Sam and Ariana because like they're not just chilling around Africa for 2 years. Okay,
I know,
they're
right?
not doing it.
Like, what are they doing? And because no, they weren't just chilling in Africa for 2 years. They were somewhere. We don't really know where. And they just pop back up at the end of Wild Sign, and they're just like, "Here's a baby," and then they peace out.
I forgot about that.
Do you recall that they just pop up at the end of Wild Sign and they're like, because during Wild Sign, Charles is like, Samuel might have a solution to your infertility problem. The solution is like because a witch, werewolf, fae, danger baby. And if you'll also recall,
I have no memory.
By the way, I'm stacking this up. We're talking about this now. I'm sorry. You can tell that we were really enthralled by these short stories.
Look, some of the I'm gonna have a lot to say when we get to Ben's. It's fine.
I don't have a lot to say about a lot of them. And okay, so and then I think it's interesting that happens in Wild Sign. And then what happens in Soul Taken? What do we explore? We explore Wolf. Wolf is what? He's a vampire. We also learned he's like a quarter fae. We also learned that he's a witch and a wizard, which we already knew. But his ancestry, we get it all confirmed that he's witch-born, he's a wizard, and he's fae. And someone turned him into a vampire, which I feel like is prep work for whatever demons Ariana and Sam brought into the world and like dropped on Anna and Charles.
Okay.
Or maybe it's not demons. I'm sorry.
Them being MIA for so long makes sense now because like they're
no, because they are either because here's the thing. Whenever like somebody comes back, like disappears, comes back and drops off a baby like that, a baby with that kind of ancestry, it's either going to be like Hope Michelson demon spawn baby, or like I don't like miracle baby. I don't know. One of the two. It's never just like, oh, it's fucking normal. But it would be hilarious if it was just like she's completely just totally normal.
Everything just cancels everything else out.
Everything just canceled out. She's fine. And the real reason why we need you to protect her is because she's super normal and like we're on the run from something. Don't worry about it. What happened was we answered one of those scam calls and we did want to know about our car's extended warranty. In any case, that's not what it was about. And she's just human. We can't protect her right now. Bye. Like that was just so three options. Demon spawn.
Super awesome.
Yeah, like Jesus allegory. Super normal. There's no in between.
Look. I'm still though like poor Charles. Oh, sorry,
you don't remember that from the end of Wild Sign?
I cannot remember that. I don't.
Un momento. Because I have Wild Sign on the shelf. Hold on.
How did I forget this?
I don't know how you blocked that out. Like for like a line,
part
then
of me
becomes
wishes you hadn't
interesting.
told me, because can you imagine if when I got into that?
I'm sorry, I thought you knew.
I knew, but obviously, of course, obviously at some point I knew, because I read the
It's
book.
the only. By the way, spoilers for Wild Sign. I'm so sorry. Oh God. Okay. This is book club with Bay, not spoiler free book review with Bay. In case you haven't noticed.
Wait. What? Why look for that? Thomas's last name is Howe, isn't it? It is Howe,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
His brother's name was Tao Howe.
Am I
Because he
wrong
mentioned
about
his
that?
brother. He's like, my brother Tao.
Yeah, maybe that's accurate. I don't know. I don't know anything about Chinese naming conventions.
I just don't feel like.
And Patty usually
has
access to linguists and stuff. She usually thanks them and actual linguists. So
Patty does her research. There's things she changes and there's things she tweaks, but that's always intentional. She doesn't get things wrong by mistake. And she normally hangs a lantern on when it's different to the reality of the situation. She was like, oh, I thought Baba Yaga was a witch. Like hanging a lantern on Baba Yaga being a witch.
yeah, so he says,
tell me this, baby.
He says about her, I told you I might have a solution for you for your need for a baby. I need you to take care of her to raise her as your own. No one can know she's Ariana's daughter. And Samuel says about her, she's a maker. The Fae have not had a maker since Ariana bound her power into the last artifact she made. One of the Fae found out Ariana will take care of him, but if he told anyone, if the Fae have the ability to make great artifacts again, that would be a game changer for them.
That's right.
She's safer with you.
Special.
Ariana's daughter has to die. Our child would never be safe. Which, I feel like here's the thing.
Look,
now it's not that's it. Samuel has been set up to be really, really dumb. So, in any case, maybe Samuel wouldn't have thought of this, but I feel like Samuel should have thought of that before taking condoms off. I'm just throwing that out there.
He probably
no
didn't expect,
shit.
He probably didn't expect the baby to be a maker, considering Ariana was the last maker born, and she's 2,000 years old, and none of her other children were makers.
Well, I'll just put it this way.
However, he should have remembered that he's witchborn and a werewolf.
He's witchborn. He's a werewolf. Also, there's the added thing that he's just the Marok's son, which Anna and Charles talk about that. Because Charles is like, even if we had a kid, it would be my kid.
Because that was,
and then there would be the complication of it being my child. And that would be like a whole thing. And he's not wrong.
Yep.
Look, it's fun. I love the fun. Well, I love.
Charles, Anna made the point though as well that Charles's child might be, for example, one of the biggest targets, right? But it's also going to be the most fucking protected child on the freaking planet because Charles is scary.
That's true. But nobody likes him. Sorry.
But Charles, I have no doubt Charles would and could kill anyone and everyone. He would burn the entire globe down without a shred of guilt to protect the kid. Samuel, I think he too might burn the world down, but then he would spend the next century moping about what a terrible person he is, and therefore he should never have children. Samuel's doesn't. He's a mess. He's a mess, and he's never not been a mess, apparently. I thought maybe age had gotten to him. Alas, no. He was like that human, and being a werewolf didn't improve matters.
We don't have to go through the plot of every single short story. We can just we can just say what we thought and just because that's too much. I enjoyed
the Maggie story was delightful.
We'll just say what we thought. I enjoyed it. I was interested because I really liked Margaret. Honestly, my favorite thing about Margaret was her forcing Mercy to have a sex talk, which was kind of hilarious.
Wait, where the timeline? I need the timeline.
So this takes place before 2 years before Moon Called.
Okay.
The present day, obviously.
Yeah.
The 1892 stuff.
Yeah.
I think it comes first because the next. Sorry.
I'm just looking at where
Gray comes or what?
Fire Touched.
Oh.
Is it Fire Touched or Night Broken? Which one?
It's Fire Touched.
Okay. Fire Touched is year 3.
June of year 3.
It's almost 3 years after Moon Called. Because Moon Called is year 0, which is only 2 months. Like, year 0 is 2 months because it's November and December.
Yeah.
So it's almost 3 years. So in almost 5 years, 5 years then, her and Thomas have been in love and BFFs and each other's everything. And she's been trying to seduce him for 5 years. And he's just like, but you're so weak. I can't. Which I guess, look, 5 years to an immortal being. But that's relative, though. They're living those 5 years every day.
So the next one, it's a good story. I liked it.
It is, but it's also just like it feels so pointless. Why are we here?
So I'll say this, like with a novel or something.
She better become a character at some point.
With a novel, you're kind of like, it has to stand on its own, whatever, right? I don't read a ton of short fiction. I've read this, and like that's it. So I don't know what I'm supposed to super get out of like short stories, if they're supposed to completely stand on their own, or if like maybe sometimes it's okay that they're enjoyable because I already like Margaret.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with yes. But yeah, like
my comment about like why are we here? That's great. Sorry.
Oh.
I'd skip to the next one. Sorry. Yeah, great. I don't know why. She better be like, but she's not going to be a person because this was written years ago and she still hasn't popped up. Grey is just it's set in the world and involves no one we know and will ever meet. And it's weird. Like, I'm fine. Like, it's a fine story. It's fine. But I don't know why.
Yeah, it's also about 10 to 2 years before Moon Called, it says.
It's pointless. It's about a woman who was married to a man like in the early 20th century, and then she disappears and was kidnapped by vampires and then turned into one, and then went home immediately upon waking and accidentally killing her husband. And she goes back home and she's like, I want to live here now. And so she does.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much. Then and some minor conflicts pop up along the way, but it all's well that ends well, I guess. And she's just living with her husband's ghost now, and may or may not start a romance with a contractor who's also a policeman.
Yep.
And she's a
Seeing Eye
vigilante.
is next. Seeing Eye is about Moira.
Yeah. Oh,
this was my favorite one.
Something as well. I'm gonna pause for a second, right? Because it just occurred to me when I saw Tom's name, Tom and Thomas, right? And because Tom and Moira pop up before we meet Tom. Tom and Moira pop up before we meet Thomas and Margaret. Oh, and also Ems. And in my head, I'm always like, Thomas and Margaret are the Tom and Moira for Mercy Thompson. They're like the interspecies, like random cute couple thing that like are super duper helpful and like automatically become best buds with like, the peeps. And like where the girls and the main girls become BFFs real quick. Because Anna's still friends with Moira. I have no doubt Mercy keeps in touch with Margaret. Like, and they're each other's roles in their respective series. And it just occurred to me that Tom and Thomas, and then secondly, the M&M. I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what they are.
Probably not.
So we got to see how Tom and Moira meet, and this one's cute.
It's super cute. I was very engaged like the entire time. And I was really excited to be with Tom and Moira. So I was here for it.
Yeah, no, it was cute. I think because I like that we got to see how the two couple friends became couples. It's cute. And then we get Alpha Omega, which we've already talked about.
You know what though? I listened to it because if I was listening to the audiobook. And it was Alpha and Omega. And when you have Alpha and Omega, the standalone audiobook, is narrated by Holter Graham.
Yes.
Shifting Shadows.
Oh, I should have listened to it.
Shifting Shadows is mostly narrated by Lorelei King, and I think the guy that does Adam's voice during Silence Fallen, if I'm not mistaken.
Or maybe
I could be mistaken. I should check. Sorry.
He actually does the bulk of the narration of this.
Because let me look.
These books.
Am I right? No, I'm wrong.
Different guy.
There's a different guy.
Yeah, how did his narration compare?
It's narrated by Lorelei King.
Oh, is this one narrated by Lorelei King? Because I skipped it. As soon as I got to Alpha Omega, I listened to the intro. I'm like, don't need to listen to this. I know it.
So
how'd she do?
I was kind of, because I've listened to the Holter Graham version a million times. And it was very
listen to the Lorelei one.
It was kind of, because obviously also I've listened to Lorelei King's voice for hours. And it was kind of jarring, honestly. Like,
well, she does Charles's voice so different to what Holter does.
Yes, and she does Anna's voice very different.
Well, I mean,
no, you'll see what I mean. It's very different. like
her speaking beats or whatever.
Yes, the interpretation of how Anna is talking and the intonation is very, very different. You should listen to it. You should have listened to it. I wish I had mentioned that to you.
It didn't even occur to me to even.
I wish I'd mentioned it.
Yeah, because I was just like, no, I know this story. Skip. But one thing that made can you look? Charles is look. Some of the Alpha Omega books can be a bit more hit and miss, you know. I fucking love Charles. I love him. I love him so much. Like he is, and I think he's like top 3 favorite Mercyverse characters.
I like Charles a lot.
I know Ben, I know Charles, and I'm just leaving a third spot open just in case I have forgotten one off the top of my head.
Right I mean, for me, it's Ben and Honey.
Yeah, Ben.
My top.
Sorry, Honey. Yeah. I just like. I feel like every person needs a Charles in their life, and I don't have one, and it makes me sad. Everyone needs a person that's just like, I think they hate me, but he doesn't. He loves you. He thinks you're precious. He thinks you're adorable, and he's just a very tall person, you know.
But yeah, this is. I mean, it's a good story. I think we both really like it. But we've talked about it before, so.
Oh yeah. Also, this is another example of like her being like, my characters just spoke to me, because in her head she always knew that Charles was a person, right? She's like, Charles appeared in my life 3-dimensional and in possession of an entire history. So I guess she was just sitting there one day and like she looks up and there's just this big Native American man being like down at her, being like, put me in your book. And she's like, but it's full. And he's like, no, put me in your book. That's exactly what she describes right here. He stalked into the pages of Mooncalled, Bran Cornick's younger son, and he told me who he was. Oh no, she didn't know Charles was a person until Charles just appeared in front of her. Like, this is what I mean. Like, but I don't care. If this was PC Car saying this, I'd be like, you freaking weirdo. Absolutely not. We don't pretend that this is the thing that happens. Patty, I'll accept it because it gave us Charles. And also it's not, Mummy, I want to fuck a bird. He's like, Mummy, I want to be able to turn into a wolf on occasion, please. And I want him to be named Brother Wolf. And she's like, okay, that's fine. That I can live with that better.
Yeah.
He didn't care that there were already far too many characters in the book, and that major characters needed to be introduced earlier. There he was. And can you, I'm not going to lie. I can picture, let's just pretend that she was just sitting there and like she looks up and Charles is standing there being like, put me in your book. You know what he'd be doing? He'd be like, the spirit spoke to me.
And be like, honestly though, like, what are you gonna say? No?
He's like, I had a dream last night. The spirits have spoken. And my father, the Marak, will be incredibly displeased.
And I will be honest, the Alpha Omega books are much more hit or miss for me. They just is. They just are. I'm sorry.
Look, it's because it's because the cast change, like the core cast of each book change. Like there's only 2. It's Charles and it's Anna, and Bran's in every book, but he pops in. Some of them he just kind of pops in. Like it's got such a small continuous cast, whereas Mercy has like a core cast of 30.
It's because Leslie Fisher's not in every book.
She is my favorite.
I love her so much.
That's the other reason why we loved it so much, because she came back.
Yes, I think that was like one of the things is we were like, Leslie, yes. We were like, we don't care. Yeah. We were just like, woo.
See, look, if Anna and Charles and Leslie became a crime-fighting trio, they just get sent off. Like Leslie just gets sent off, and she's like, and she has to call Charles on the bat phone or the wolf phone, and she's like, oh woo, and he's like, where? And she's like, here, and he's like, cool, see you soon. And if that was the plot of every Alpha Omega book, it would be amazing.
I know.
Like, and honestly, as well, I don't think Leslie would do it, but Anna would actually try to convince Leslie to just call up and say a woo. Because Anna actually has a sense of humor.
Yes, but anytime in the Alpha and Omega books, Leslie's on screen, we are just we're just like, I'm having fun. Yay. Like, so.
But no. So yeah, we get Alpha Omega, which is obviously the short story in which Charles and Anna meet. And she wrote, like, she was asked to write a short story, right? For an anthology. So she wrote Alpha Omega. And that was it. It was going to end with, oh, what is the last line of it? It was going to end with, I think I'd like to see Montana. And then we would never see them again. And then the publisher was like, can you imagine if Alpha and Omega was just the end? I mean, we get far less music and far less horse talk.
So the next book, the next thingy.
David Christensen. Oh, we get to see another wizard in this story.
Yes. And I was okay with it. Like, it was all right.
Yeah. So this happens kind of during Mooncold. Because
no.
Mooncold time skips it.
Right.
No, wait, listen.
Oh, yeah.
Because this has happened.
I was like, what?
Post the story of Mooncold, but before the absolute end, when Mercy picks up the newspaper and there is a photo, and he mentions in it the mission that he goes on where that photo is snapped is like the one that he gets, because at the end it's like he has to go and rescue a couple kids or whatever it is, and that's the mission that he gets photographed in and brings the wolves out. So it's kind of during Mooncold, but not really during Mooncold.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just about him rescuing a little wizard boy from vampires because his daughter, who hasn't spoken to him since she was 12, when he killed her mother in front of her. Like, they hadn't spoken since.
Yeah.
Which, fair.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like his sons ended up forgiving him based on context of everything, but daughter, I think she was the oldest, and saw the most and was the most scarred from it. She wasn't quite okay with daddy coming home from war and turning into a wolf and eating mom.
Pretty much.
I think is valid.
Yeah.
But also mom was a bitch. I'm not saying she deserved to be eaten, but she deserves something.
I was like, bae. Not how that works.
No, yeah, like, look, you cheat on your soldier husband while he's away at war. Like, yes, no, you don't deserve to be eaten, but you deserve a stern scolding.
Yeah.
He didn't mean to, though. It was an accident. He didn't know he was a wolf.
I mean,
but yeah, no, they make up, and she's like, "Hello, Papa. Merry Christmas. I hope you like turkey." And he's like, "Oh, my daughter loves me again." And it is.
So then after that, we
get Kara. Roses in Winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kara is mentioned in what's it called?
Bloodbound. Bloodbound.
Okay, yes.
Is when we first hear about her, because her dad is like,
yeah,
you know, I'm
a reporter.
I
I need help.
I have a 13-year-old. Yeah, this is also like the first time we humanize Honey. And so he has a young daughter. She never actually appears in any of the Mercy books, but Mercy sends her off to Bran, and she sometimes appears in the Alpha and Omega books. She's really never on screen. She's which is probably a smart choice, because, like, is there really a good way to show
when this was published, she hadn't we hadn't seen her in Aspen Creek at all. It's in, I think it's in Burn Bright. She's on page a little bit, and
Yeah.
I think then we haven't seen her since again. But she was, when she was 10 or 11, got attacked by a werewolf and turned and was locked in a cage every full moon for 3 years. And now she's in the Marox pack, and she's been there a while now. And she still can't control her changes, and it's Bran's starting to get worried because he's like, look, I understand and everything, but also you need to control your shit because there are laws and I'm already breaking them for you. So sort your shit out. And Azrael's relationship with her.
Azrael?
Azrael. Why did I say Azrael? Aziel. Oh,
like,
God. Fuck me. Aziel's relationship with her later on, when it's referenced, makes more sense now. I can't believe. There are too many similar sounding names in our world, okay? Too many. You can't tell me they're not similar.
It's a pretty good story, like, if you wanted an update on her.
Yeah, she'll be okay, is effectively the end result. She'll be okay. And Aziel's like, I have a new little pet to love, and which is nice.
Yeah. So,
what's next?
After
In
that,
Red with Pearls. Oh, Kyle.
Oh yes.
This one
was so funny.
We're gonna talk about the plot for this one a bit. Okay, so like, you actually no. One thing I do want to talk before we get into this. One thing I do like is Patty does acknowledge that Mercy has like we are limited by what Mercy perceives.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, she thinks that Warren's like a sweet little bunny, but that's because she's dumb. Like, that's effectively like the intro to this. And so, but then she undid all of that by like when like Ben's story intro, she's like, but Ben hates women. I'm like, like I've yet to see proof of Ben hating women in any of the like in the entire verse of books. I've yet to see proof. But
I loved this story. The story was so much fun.
Okay. Yeah, so Warren is working as a private detective person for Kyle's law firm, which is normal. Like, they have those. And some woman comes in and she's like, I need to see you, Kyle. And he's like, Can you breathe again for a second? Zombie. He's like, Kyle, there's a zombie waiting to see you. And he's like, okay, well, let's go see the zombie. And the zombie attacks him and bites Kyle. And Warren's like, and kills zombie. Like, properly kills zombie. And oh my God, sorry. Just because I've listened to these, and I knew like Elizaveta Arkadyevna. Arkadyevna is obviously a really long name.
It is, isn't it so long written down? Right? Especially when she does the whole thing.
Yeah, sorry. Like, for the first, I think this is the first time I've ever actually seen Arkadyevna in writing. Sorry.
Where is it? I'm trying to find it. Sorry, hold on. I'm gonna find it.
Do you want me to copy and paste it into the thing so you can see it?
I'll find it. I'll search it on mine.
Okay, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Actually,
7,
yeah, do that.
8, 9,
10,
11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, yeah, that's too many paragraphs to even get.
And if it has the rest of her name, do that too, because
I've just got Elizaveta Arkadyevna.
Then there's like, I don't know how to pronounce the other part of it, but
don't know. Wait, give me a second. I know what to do.
It's in Moon Called, I know.
Vishnevitskaya, that what part?
Yes. Yes, her name takes up half a freaking page. Let me tell you.
There we go.
Yeah, it takes up so much space.
I mean, yeah. So he's like, I guess I need to call an Elizaveta. So she comes, and he's like, and she brings her niece Nadia, because she's just got endless family, right? Until she does.
Until we wipe out the whole thing. Again,
Yeah, until she
spoilers.
literally does it.
We've read the entire series more than once.
Yeah, although I've only read Wild Sign once. I've
only read Wild Sign once
by the
as
fact
well.
that I forgot.
I read Burn Bright more than once. I don't know that I've read Burn Bright more than once.
I read Burn Bright more than once. I know that I reread that before Wild Sign.
I probably reread it before Wild Sign.
Blah 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 blah. Where are we? Oh yeah, so she rocks up with her niece Nadia, and he's like, zombie trying to kill my boyfriend, and Elizabeth is like, this is not my problem. I'm not trying to do a Russian accent. I can't do it. I can say niet. That's it. Beyond that, I'm done. And she's like, not my problem. And he's like, my mate, 'tis your problem. And she's like, fine, I guess I'll get rid of his gangrenous arm because like the zombie bit him and he was gonna gangrene to death. And Nadia's like, I'll investigate with you. And Warren's like, sweet, let's investigate together. She's like, I hope it takes a really long time though. And Warren's like, that's weird. I wonder why. And it turns out that the zombie was a woman who went missing while running recently. And she was wearing different clothing, which is to what she went missing in running, and now she's in a formal dress, and it's weird. And so then they go and investigate Kyle's clients. Oh, also, because this guy was mentioned as well in what's the one where they all go missing? Like the pack goes missing. Frostburn. Yeah. When Mercy's parking there, right? She's parking the Mercedes, and she's like, Kyle's neighbor hates it when I park my normal car here because he's a jerk. He leaves bad notes. And
Kyle's mean neighbor.
Warren comes home, and there is a note being like, move your truck or I will call the city on you again. And we get some backstory. So this guy moved in about a year or two ago, and all had been fine. And then he was like, why are the children playing outside at 7 p.m.? 'Tis when I sleep. Put those children to bed. How dare you?
And they're
because Kyle occasionally has children stay at his house, right?
Well, and they're just like, why are you asleep at 7 p.m.? What are you doing?
Yeah. What was the other thing? It was the grapes. The grapes are growing, and I don't like it. Make them stop. And they're like, that's weird. Okay. Oh, because he also refers to himself in his letters. He's like, Mr. Francis does not like the grapes. Fix them. And and he saw Warren as running around the yard as a wolf and thought it was a dog. And he called the city.
This story about Warren doing murder is very whimsical.
Yes. And he left a letter being like, I do hope that dog is licensed, fixed, and vaccinated. And then he called the city to be like, I hope my neighbor's dog is licensed, fixed, and vaccinated. Can you imagine Kyle getting that phone call from the city being like, your neighbor called to make sure that your pet dog was fixed? And like Kyle just like being like, just a moment, putting, Warren, sweetie, have you had a vasectomy recently? No. Yeah, no, he's intact.
And
Sorry.
it wouldn't work. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I don't think you could could you vasectomy a werewolf?
You would have to get a witch to do it.
Yeah.
But that would have
to
use black magic.
So no can do. Also,
like I don't.
You don't
look
you do not have to by law fix a dog. So
no, or by law vaccinate a dog.
That's not necessarily true, actually.
At least here. Wait. In
We
where
have,
does
I think we have some
does he-
laws regulating, like,
Does he live in Kennewick? Where does
we
Kyle
have,
live?
I know that we have some laws regulating, like, rabies vaccines and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that rabies is fair. Kennewick, Washington.
I think also some places have ordinances. I mean, it depends on, like,
Do dogs have to be?
those types of laws are going to vary by city, county, state, stuff like that.
Wait, sorry, rabies. Yes,
So it's gonna
he does
I
have
know.
to be. Do
Sorry,
werewolves have to be vaccinated against rabies?
no, because they don't get diseases. But one thing is, also parvo. Some places are have ordinances about parvo.
Look, I'm not. I will say as well, you should, like, even if it's not required, you should, because I've seen because I used to work at a vet. I've seen parvo.
You should also be aware that the parvo vaccines. You should also be aware that the parvo vaccines have very high efficacies, but there's always a chance. So, especially when your puppy is young.
Well, not just that as well. One thing with parvovirus as well, even if you know for a fact your dog will never come into contact with another dog, guess what parvo can do? Unlike a lot of viruses, it can live in the grass for a long time.
So
your dog can get parvo from the grass.
But, until your dog, at least how it was told to me by my vet, was my dog's feet should never touch the ground outside, basically.
That's why.
And until he was done his full course of shots, unless it was my yard and he was using the bathroom, his feet don't touch the ground.
Parvo can
especially since it was Jinx, and he's apparently dogs that are all black have a higher risk of contracting it.
Parvo can live for 7 months at least. But
dogs that are vaccinated can still get it.
I'm
sometimes.
Seeing for 10 years as well. But I'm pretty sure. Yeah, some things are saying it can survive up to 9 years in the soil, but others are saying like 6 to 12 months. So potentially up to a decade, parvo can live in the grass. So vaccinate your dogs against parvo.
Yes.
Like, even if your family has not been living in that property for the last decade, if another family was living there, do not let your dog outside till it's been vaccinated against parvo.
Yeah, and also be aware, like, if you have a puppy, and you're like, well, how do I
socialize
it? Because also the key socialization weeks are in those weeks where you're not yet vaccinated against parvo. There are plenty of ways to get your dog out and socialize them. And by socialize, I mean, like, expose them to sounds and sights without letting their paws touch the ground. Like wagons and carry them, stuff like that.
Especially if it's a small breed, because like they don't grow rapidly.
Yeah, but even if it's a larger breed, you can still use like wagons. And
I'm saying like with the carrying, yeah. Like you couldn't pay me to carry. You couldn't pay me to carry around a 3-month-old Great Dane. I've seen they're bigger. Right. They're bigger than my adult dog.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So you could just carry for like half a second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So Warren gets home and there's a note from Mr. Francis being like, I don't like this car in the driveway, because it's Warren's pickup truck thing. And I have also sent a letter to the city. And so that's just important to keep in mind that Mr. Francis is a dick. So they're like, okay, we're going to investigate and see which of Kyle's, because Kyle is a divorce attorney. So obviously there would be not opposing counsel, but opposing parties that are not pleased with Kyle because he is the best or one of the best in the state. So Nadia is also like, I'm a witch and I can make people forget that I ever questioned them and blah blah blah. And Warren's like, oh no, and she's like, oh no, I can't do it to you because you know. But I can be helpful. And he's like, okay, let's do a thing. So they do a thing, and start investigating people. A lot of them are like, no. And Warren, being a lie detector, he just asked people like, did you try and kill Kyle? And they're like, no. And Warren's like, okay, I believe you. But then they walk into one guy's office and he's like, pew, 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 pew. And Warren's like, well, that's rude. Please don't shoot me. And Nadia is like, stop it. And she catches Warren in her spell as well when she's like telling him stop and never, ever think about Kyle ever again. How dare you? But Warren had broken free by this point, which is good because Kyle is his mate and that would have been sad for Warren to never think of him ever again. And then they keep going, and then I can't remember exactly what happens, but then Warren's like, I need to look at Foley stuff, but I need a Ben because he's quicker. Ben, can you do a thing while I do stuff? And Ben's like, sure. And then Warren's like, cool. And then he gets everything he needs, and then he goes to the house of the person who made the zombie.
Yep.
And he's like, maybe not. Maybe I won't. I don't know yet. And then he sees a photo and he's like, no, I must. And then he goes into the bedroom and slits Nadia's throat because it was her. And then he calls Elizaveta and he's like, your niece was bad news and I did a kill. And Elizaveta's like, you could have at least let me torture her for power. That might have been nice. He's like, well, no.
She's like, she's like, you could have, like, come on, man. And he's like, no, you psycho. And she's like, fine, I guess. She's like, she's like, fine, no hard feelings, I suppose. She's like, I'm feeling, a little gypped, but fine.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, also,
next time though, Pinky promise.
Yeah.
Me torture her for power, and he's like, no, and she's like, fine.
Also earlier on when they were first investigating people, they spoke to like the dead jogger zombie lady's husband, and he thought he recognized Nadia. Okay, now that I've remembered to insert that, he goes home and goes, "Hey Kyle, it was Nadia. I did a kill," and he's like, "Well, that's weird." Okay. Oh, by the way, Mr. Francis had like a heart attack last night. Oh, like, I mean, I'm relieved, but also I kind of feel guilty for feeling relieved. But he's an asshole. And Warren's like, don't feel bad because he hired Nadia. And Kyle's like, excuse you. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, yeah, he just decided that you're just too much trouble. So he hired a witch to make a zombie to kill you. And she picked her victim because she went to prom with the zombie's husband. And by the way, when she dressed her into the dress, it was a prom dress. So I guess it was kind of like a fuck you to the husband because she never got over him. And Kyle's like, well, he's like, I feel like I'm in a telenovela. And Warren's like, I got you, boo. Mwah. And then story over. Effectively.
Oddly whimsical, honestly. I really liked it.
Yeah, I honestly, it was fun. It was fun. I was actually really worried. I'm not gonna lie. I was really worried. I hate going into my favorite characters' heads. Like, you know, like your favorite side characters. I hate going in their heads. I was
worried too. Like, in a universe like the Mercyverse, I like when I start seeing other POVs in this all this eye business, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like,
it was fine.
I'm like, I don't know how I feel about all this eye stuff. Because, you know, when you're in Mercy's head, like, I mean, she points this out in the, like we talked about in the little intro.
Well limited by Mercy's perception.
Yeah, you get very used to how Mercy sees the world and everything. And
just interjecting, well, this is not the case for Alpha Omega. It's well, generally very limited. It's third person, but each story we do get to follow a couple of other side characters every so often.
Well, something I thought was actually interesting. This is from a writing perspective. Was there are lots of little ways, little things that Mercy does, like the way that she talks in certain aspects and stuff like that, and sometimes like phrasing and things. That you could have attributed to being Mercy's internal voice, or to just Patty's writing style. And really now it's kind of more clear that it's Patty's writing style, because when you're writing more than one character in first person, there's several ways to differentiate that I've seen done. There's several ways to differentiate characters. One way is to completely change your writing style between characters. Patty doesn't do that at all.
Yeah, because generally, a lot of first person narration, I guess. Is that what the non-dialogue part is? It's the narration.
Yes, the prose.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of that is typically very similar to that person's dialogue, how they speak, because it's their head. Then they're telling you a story, so they're gonna narrate how they speak. Mm-hmm. Sorry, carry on. I was gonna
say, with Patty, how she chooses to do it is through observations and opinions, which I think might be the most effective way. This was kind of an interesting little master study for me as I was reading it, because I was okay, seeing how you might deconstruct another character and get inside their head, and how you might actually write that, and what would actually be over a career a sustainable way to go about that. And I think rather than changing your writing style every single time, I think just the ability to focus less on changing the style and the sentence structure, and focus more on perceptions and opinions and stuff like that.
Because the writing style, the writing style in Mercy's head, Warren's head here, and isn't all that different to the third person.
No, not at all. No. Yeah, and like I said, it's just kind of, like I said, for me, in visual art, you kind of call it a master study, where you're really just looking at another person's, you're looking at a very experienced artist's art, and you're studying how they got there. And once I realized
the brush strokes are the same.
Well, and so I was just interested. I started getting really interested as we were reading this, and how she was doing the first person narration, because first person is more difficult than I think people think it is. Because you have your own writing style, and then you're trying to be inside of a character's head. And I think the way that she does it consistently throughout several different people's heads, because I believe Ben's story is first person, Ben, Warren, and Samuel, all first person.
Yeah, the rest are all third, I believe, except for the Mercy Hollow. Is it Hollow?
Yeah,
because there's also a Mercy story after Ben's.
And also I meant to mention that we get to jump back into seeing things directly from Mercy's perspective, and I got to compare all of that directly to how Mercy narrates herself. So it's a fun little study in first person narration as well, if you're interested in that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm sorry. Soapbox over.
Because we'll go into Ben's one now, which is Redemption.
Yes, and this takes place.
One thing I found funny in this was like even in his internal, like in his head, he's stopping himself from swearing. He's like, I can't even think the swears.
He's eaten.
But no.
So yeah, so, and also they gave him the fun plot point, and I think Patty did this because Patty didn't want to. Ben's more fun. Oh, I found his. Sorry, I'm sorry. We've been looking for one of Carmine's things for a very long time.
Oh,
And we
That's
found
okay.
it. I just found it. But anyway.
and now he found it.
I know. There's nothing in there right now, but I'm sorry.
He moved it.
But she gave Ben the plot point of I can't swear because I have a bet with Adam. And I think it's obviously because she doesn't want to have to write the creative swearing. Which is very fair because which is very fair because I also would do the same thing. I would be like, I don't know how to write that. And
Yeah,
sometimes
like she does
it's
add
better
in a
left implied.
couple things at the end, but yeah. So I do want to talk about her like little intro to this. Okay, so it's like I knew as soon as I brought Ben on stage in Mooncold what his history was. I had to know so that his actions remain logically consistent throughout the series, though I didn't know if I would ever bring them to light. I am not an outline writer. The one I did write with a real honest to goodness outline was, and that there, the honest to goodness thing is like how you know that Mercy just talks the way that Patty talks. Outline was really difficult for me to finish since I already knew the ending. I didn't feel that drive that usually pumps me through the last half of the book. That doesn't mean that I don't do any planning on the large scale, but it makes for some interesting events on the small. Towards the end of Iron Kiss, Mercy is hurt. Adam is torn by guilt and unwilling to hurt her more and leaves Mercy but not unguarded. Now, who I thought should he send to guard Mercy? Warren was too predictable. I could have sent one of the women, but on a whim, I threw in Ben. And what followed took me totally by surprise in the best of all possible ways. Ben was the perfect person. And I will say as well, with Patty, it seems like, you know, like she knows her characters inside and out before she ever puts metaphorical pen to paper. Because that sounds better than putting fingers to keyboard. Which I guess does make it more... I imagine she's not viewing Ben, for example, as a character. He's a person that she knows exactly what he's going to do as like what the next logical thing would be. So it makes sense that she's just like, oh, I didn't see that this would happen.
So yeah, I would actually say that like something Addie and I did recently as an exercise was we reread all we have I know we haven't published I know we haven't published anything beyond the Outcast of Asmar. We have pretty much the entire Blackwood series written. Because we finished the next book and then we were like, screw it, let's write the next book. And then as we were writing the book after that, we were like, oh, we want to change some things about the last book. And so we're like, fuck it, let's write all the books before we publish any more books, just in case we want to do some things.
Just pause for 1 second, because very smart, because the reason why George R.R. Martin, I'm pretty sure he said this in an interview or something, or at least I heard this. The reason why he's so stuck, and it's been like over a decade since the last book came out, and the new one still isn't out yet, is because he killed off a character that he needs. And he can't work out how to do what he needs to do because the character's dead. Allegedly. Sorry, carry on.
And so we recently reread together all of the books and everything we have written, because some sections are more complete than others. Like when I say that we have like the last book written, I mean like you know, like written like it's a joke, but like And as we were going through and like working on that and reading all of it, we definitely, I think, learned a lot about how we have changed and how our writing has changed and evolved. And like I said, if you'd asked me like 2 years ago, do your characters talk to you? Do your characters this? I'd been like, no. But now I'm like, there really is such a huge benefit to knowing a character's personality and thrusting them into a situation and being like, but what would they do? Not what would I do? Because I think when you
what do I
outline
need
really
them to do right now?
and not even like what do I need them to do, because once you're like what, because then you're getting into the what would I do question, and what would I do does not matter in the slightest. It's what would they do. And we, I think, have wound up with much more interesting scenarios once we stopped worrying about the outline and once we took a better at it and we started being like, oh, this is what they would do. And so I think I can really understand like how Patty does that and why that works.
Yeah,
because if you have the right concoction of characters together, the what would they do question, it makes it very easier, I'd say. I think it's like super easy, but it makes it easier.
I will never not mock the casts though for how they go about it.
Mommy, I want to fuck a butt.
Yes.
It's just like in that instance, I'm sorry, like that's their example of it. And like, I don't know about that.
Because also, I'm sorry, but I don't think, from what we've learned about Stevie Ray leading up to that, I don't think she'd ever go, you know what sounds fun today? Bestiality. I just don't see that from Stevie Ray.
Yeah.
But she did. Okay, but yeah, so Ben is in the process of change. We mere mortals have only 70 or so years in which to get over the bad things that have happened to us and the bad things we've done. I found an event that would be pivotal for Ben, and a chance to bring in some of the weird and absurd things my husband ran into in his years as a database administrator, aka a DBA, for a huge government contractor. I would, in the interest of fairness, like to point out though that that although the IT field is, for whatever reason, heavily dominated by men, Ben's company, thanks to government hiring incentives, has many competent women in both the DBA and programming departments. But this is told mostly from Ben's viewpoint, and Ben has issues with women in general, so his viewpoint is likely a little skewed. The events in Redemption take place between Frostbend and Nightbroken. Now, Ben has issues with his mother. And I think that, and he has issues with Mary Jo because she's a bitch to his adoptive mummy. What is Mercy if not Ben's adoptive mummy? Especially like at the end when he's like, I'm trying to talk to Adam, I'm trying to talk to Dad, and she's like, have some hot chocolate, Ben, I love you. He's like, fine, I guess I'll have some hot chocolate, Mom. Go away though. Like, we're gonna go through this story, and then I still want you to tell me where Ben hates women. It has never before been seen on page. Even the conflicted feelings he has during the flashbacks to the bad events in his past, it was all about his mother. And when it came down to it, he was like, warning. Oh wait, no, the women are the victims. Oh yeah, trigger warning, rape-a-doodles and beating.
Wasn't gonna put it like that, but yeah.
I have to. I can't, like it
our trauma, we get to talk about how we do.
Yeah, and the also we learn in this as well that, because we learn in Iron Kiss that Ben was diddled as a kid.
Yeah.
we learn in this it was his daddy. His daddy was a diddler. And Ben never overtly sought out whether or not his mother knew, because he just couldn't deal with the fact that his mother knew and just didn't protect him.
Yeah.
So that's where his issues with quote unquote women, aka his mother, come from. This story just made me love Ben more though. This whole story in general. Nothing. I don't think there is anything Patty could write that would make me not love Ben.
Yeah.
So yeah, it starts off with Ben having a chitty chat with Rajiv over in India.
Yep.
Having a chitty chat about a program, and he's like, it's broken and I fixed it, except for I couldn't fix this bit because it's dumb. And Rajiv is like, cool, thanks. I'll try and fix it. And then Ben's sitting there being like, I'm so smart, do. And then he overhears with his wolfy hearing of what's his name? Duffy. He hears Duffy talking to Mel. Mel is like the secretary for the DBAs, and Duffy is not. I don't know what Duffy is, but he's not that. And Duffy has a history of hitting on the secretaries and either being like, fuck me or you're fired, and they either fuck him or they're fired, effectively. And he's like, not my Mel. And so he goes up and he's like, Mel, I told you to not be a dum-dum. Now go, don't be a dum-dum. And she's like, okay, fine. I guess I won't be a dum-dum. Bye. And she leaves. And he's like, bye, Duffy, and walks away. And Ben's like, just smug. He's like, I'm so clever. I yelled at her to protect her. And yeah, that was that. And then I like the whiteboard, because then we scene change and someone's like, wait here, do not interrupt him, he will eat your head. And he's like, I will not. And Ben's just sitting there, he's like, I'm busy, but he's listening to this. Apparently Ben has a sign saying, I know you are here, wait silently and I'll get to you as soon as I'm able. If you speak before then, you will not find me helpful. And that is delightful. And I love that for Ben.
Yeah.
And it's a programmer who saved bestiality porn on the servers, and he's like, I want my porn back, and Ben's like, lol, no. I don't think that had anything to do with the plot. I think it was just fun, just for Ben to just be like, you're a dum-dum. Also, bestiality porn is bad, bro.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then Ben is around, awoke from his desk stuff by coffee, and it's Mel. And she's like, I brought you coffee from my husband. He's like, why the fuck is your husband sending me coffee? That's fucking weird. Except no swearing, because he's got a bet with Adam. Oh, and if he wins the bet, if he doesn't swear for a week, he gets a bottle of whiskey. And she's like, well, I was talking to my husband about Duffy being a jerk, and Duffy being a perv and you being a jerk. And my husband was like, did it ever occur to you that Benny Boy is only ever mean to you when Duffy's being a perv, and then he makes you go do stuff for him, and then so you can't be perved on. So when you work that out, give him coffee from me. And so she does. And Ben's like, how dare you acknowledge what I was trying to do subtly? I don't like this. I don't like being thanked. Please go away. But thank you for coffee, I suppose. And then Duffy is like, I'm gonna fuck a Mel. Oh no, Ben goes to Adam and he's like, Adam, it's not fair. It's not fair. She realized what I was doing and it's rude. And Adam's like,
yep.
But you love her. you think she's neat, like not a love in a like, because her husband is in the military and he's deployed, and he's like, she's like your little pet rabbit and you need to protect your pet rabbit. Oh, also, this story as well pissed me off as well, because in this conversation, Adam's like, what is dominant? And Ben's like, oh, a willingness to fight and the protective thing. He's like, yes, but it also goes both ways, because if no one in the pack trusts you to protect them, which is why no one will submit to you, because they don't trust you. And if they start trusting you to be protective, then you'd be higher in the pack than what you are. And I think this is dumb.
Okay.
It's dumb. Book one.
Why is this part dumb?
Why does no one think that Ben is a good protector? Book one. Adam's like, oh, I'm about to get shot. Bullet is flying towards me right now. Bullet is incoming. And Ben's like, nope, not my daddy, and jumps in front of the bullet. This is already after he's already almost died to protect Mercy 5 minutes ago. And then next book, I can't remember what they all are, but like the first 3 or 4 books, Ben almost dies like protecting Adam and or Mercy and or someone else over and over and over again. Every book.
No, you're not wrong. But
every
like
book. And then in Iron Kiss, right? He was so concerned about Mercy's well-being that he's like, he's pacing back and forth. You see it. He's pacing because Mercy's watching him. So we're seeing this happen. He's like, I'm an idiot. I'm going to regret this. I'm going to regret this. He picks up the phone. He's like, Warren, tell Adam he's a fucking idiot and to come back up here. And Adam walks up. He's like, what did you just call me? He goes, I called you a fucking idiot. Now listen to me. How dare you? Almost a death sentence. Yeah, no. Almost a guaranteed death sentence.
Yeah, Ben's like, I have.
Than Adam.
Ben's like, I have things to say, and you're gonna listen. And he's like, I'm gonna die. He's like, but I have stuff to say. Okay. He's like, all right, got that first out. Ooh, all right. You're an idiot. Crap.
Like, I'm sorry. Okay, is everyone in this universe, like when it comes to Ben, everyone in this universe is stupid except Adam. Adam is the only one that from the get-go has been like, Ben's not too bad. Ben's fine. He's a good boy. And when Mercy's like, I don't like him, Adam's like, excuse you, Mercy, he's a good boy. We give him all the scritches when he's a dog. Okay? He gets all the scritches. Be kind. Adam's the only one that's not a dum-dum to Ben. So, no, that did me. So, yeah, he had dreams about his mummy. And then Mr. Duffy is being a Mr. Duffy again.
Yep.
And Ben's like, nope, not my problem. She addressed the fact that I'm protecting her, and now she gets no protection. We're not doing this because I don't want anyone to know that I'm a marshmallow. How dare she? And while he's having this internal conflict of how absolutely dare she, we get the flashbacks of...
Which is fair. I also don't like it when people think I'm a marshmallow.
Oh, also, it's like the night before the full moon.
So he's itchy.
Incredibly antsy. Yeah,
he needs to shave. It's like a whole thing.
And then we go to
Wuzzy,
Yeah. Oh no, Ben is in third person as well. Sorry, just because it was first, but no, it's third. That's right, because we go to Mel. So then we go to Mel, and she's at home, and there's a knock on the door, and it's Duffy dude, and he's like, I have wine, and he barges his way, and we're like, we're going to wine and fuck, and if we don't, well, what a shame I framed you for selling state secrets or whatever, and like maybe you'd be willing to lose your job over that, but what would happen to your husband if it came out that his wife was selling state secrets or whatever the hell it is, right? I can't remember. Something secrets of an IT nature in relation to government stuff. And she's like, and then we go to Ben, and he's like, no, I'm not rescuing. I refuse I refuse to, because he overheard, he knows what's going to happen. He's like, I refuse because how dare she? And then he's like, but in my old pack, and this is why we learned that, where we learn how he was involved in the series of rapes back in London.
Yeah, so how
Was-
it's explained in Moon Called is there was a series, there was some serial rapes in London, and Ben was around and about and around, and then
He's alpha.
um
Sent him.
his alpha got rid of him, and
Which also, I think
Mercy
was
looked it up.
Arthur,
The
by
rape
way.
stopped after he left.
Yeah. I think it was Arthur that sent him over as well.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think he's the only one in Great Britain, right?
By the time
By the time Hunting Ground
Hunting Ground, yes.
is
By
is
the time
Hunting Grounding.
of Hunting Ground. Yeah, he's the only alpha in. He's the Morocco of Great Britain, or the Arthur, if you will.
And then he's
Yeah,
not.
sorry. And then he's not. But yeah. So Mercy looked it up, and they stopped after Ben left. And Mercy's like, I'm pretty sure he did rapes, and Adam's like, no, he didn't. And the next book, Mercy's like, I'm pretty sure he did rapes, and I was like, no, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yep.
And then in the third book, she's like, I think he did rapes, and Adam's like, no, he stopped them. And we learn about how he stops them in this one. Which was the alpha of the pack was like like an underbelly mobster dude.
Yeah.
Also, I always thought Ben was like close to his close to his actual age and appearance. Apparently not.
Yeah, I
Ben's,
did too, actually.
I mean, I don't think he's particularly old, but I think he's like probably like around Adam's age, give or take a decade, maybe.
Yeah, I also thought that he was like just
I thought he
his
was like
age.
real world 20s. But yeah, so this PAX second would go around and be like, you owe us the protection money or whatever the hell he's supposed to do. He goes around and he beats people up that aren't paying up or whatever it is. And the alpha is like, hey Ben, you have to be was it Terry? If not Terry, we're just gonna say it's Terry. You get to be Terry's watcher, and he's like, what does that mean? He goes, oh, you need to make sure he doesn't kill people. And Ben's like, okay. So he goes, and Terry is a sociopath or psychopath, probably psychopath. And he gets joy out of it. He beats people to within an inch of their lives. And Ben has to be like, okay, Terry, that's enough. And Terry's like, righto, that's enough. And then they leave. And then after a while, Terry's like, oh, look at that bitch with the black high heels. I'm going to do an assault. And Ben's like, okay. And so then he does, but he doesn't kill her. So Ben's like, oh, well, this is what I have to do. I have to stand here and watch. And while he does his thing, but make sure he doesn't kill her. But Ben is also having a moment where in his mind, he's picturing that woman as his mother. And he's just like, cool. Like, bitch is getting what she deserves, because like he's disassociating and picturing his mother. And that continues for a bit. And then
yeah, and
Terry's like,
I will also say, sorry, real quick, the lore it's been like pretty well established that like once you're given an order, you're like magically compelled to do it.
Yeah.
You're like a werewolf.
It takes a lot to not comply with an order given by a more dominant wolf. Like it's a freaking struggle.
Yeah. Also, Ben is described as completely like disassociating.
Yes.
as this is happening, like,
Yeah.
she doesn't make it like better, but
Look,
makes him less complicit, more
he's
being
magically
traumatized.
obligated to stand there and watch. He's magically obligated to stand there and watch.
Yeah.
But then he was done, right? And Terry's like, okay, your turn now. And Ben's like, what? He's like, time for you to join in, bro. And Ben's like, I don't want to. No, thank you. And like he looked at the girl and he realized, no, that girl is me. She's not my mother. She's me. Shit. And he bought a knife. Oh, also he'd been carrying this knife around for a while. I think after the first woman, he went out and bought a knife.
Yeah.
He's like, the time will come where I will need this. And that time came, and he kills Terry. He's like, no, I'm not doing this. And so he did. And then he just left dead Terry there. He's like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Oh, he ripped off his head as well, by the way. He cleaned himself up and headed home to be like, alpha, bro. I like he was going to do the right thing. He wasn't going to hide what he did. He went and was going to be like, look, Terry went too far. And I gone too far. Because that's also why, right? Like, he wasn't proud of what he did. He was just like, I did what I did, and I'm ashamed. And I think he was hoping that he would get killed because he stood by and let, you know. But he gets back and he's like, oh, that's what the pack bones have been telling me. My Alpha's dead because presumably Arthur came in and was like, and he's like, and Arthur's just like, yeah, you're going to go hang out with Adam now. And Ben's like, okay, I guess I'll go hang out with Adam now. Because Arthur thought it was best that Ben just
disappeared.
Just go. Yeah, because he was like, look, you were ordered. You did what you were told until it was that bad that you just couldn't anymore. And you fought back, and well done you, but go away now. And so he did. And then we go back to Mel. And Mel's like, Mr. Duffy, no, please, I don't want to do a thing. And then Ben's like, hi-ho. And he rocks in. He's like, my, Duffy, you're a bad boy. You're a bad boy. And Mel's like, hello, Ben, why are you here? And he's like, to protect you, sweetness. And she's like, thank you. And Duffy's like, Ben. And what happened? What happens? Oh, yeah. And Ben's like, I'm a werewolf. And Duffy's like, I'm going to tell everyone you're a werewolf. And he's like, do it then. Bye. And so now Mel is saved and doesn't get Rapadoodled or fired.
But Ben does shift under the full moon
that's right.
inside her living room. And her living room was like the size of the size of a Yeti cooler. So
yeah, she's like, you're a wolf, and he's like, yes, I am. And like he starts to shift. He's like, terribly sorry to be an inconvenience, but can you kindly allow me to shift, because like he's talking to her while he's shifting. She's like, I won't tell you.
Yeah, no, it's actually really funny.
Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure he literally says, like, bugger it. Like, I don't care if he tells anyone. Just, and she's like, I'm going to go hide in my bedroom. He's like, probably wise. Off you go. And so she does. And then he does a wolf. And yeah, he's like, Mel's my person. She's one of my people. Bless her. And then he's like, oh, I think he also like asked her to call Mercy because he's waiting for Mercy to come and get him. So like while he's shifting, he's like, can you call my mom to come get me? And she's like, okay, I guess.
Mom, come pick me up. I'm scared.
I'm having feelings and I don't know how to cope. Okay. But then we skip to the week is over. He has drunk his whiskey. Oh, because also Duffy at some point in this as well had made a complaint being like, he's being mean to the secretary and he also swears like a sailor. And this was when she was bringing him coffee, and so the HR lady comes up and she's like, "I heard you were being mean to Mel." And Mel's like, "No, he's delightful. He's delightful. He's lovely. I love him. He's the best." And Ben's like, "How dare you protect me? This is weird." And she's like, "Oh, I also heard that you swear like a sailor." And she's like, "Well, actually, he's been working really hard on not swearing, haven't you, Ben? You've been such a great, you've been a
Oh
champ."
yeah, and then she's like, "Oh, but you could give us a seminar," and he's like,
"Will you be our
he's like,
motivational speaker
"I'm."
to get people to quit their bad habits?" And he's like, "Fuck off."
He's like, "I am going to
Not.
jump a cliff."
Well, he does end up acquiescing to her request. But the speech goes,
Yes.
he gets up there with his empty bottle of whiskey. Oh, also, everyone knows he's a werewolf now because he gets introduced as like, "Welcome to our motivational werewolf speech."
Yes.
And he's like, "My speech is about how I broke my fucking habit of drinking shitty whiskey." And by the time he finished, the audience was in stitches. He had kept a serious demeanor the whole time, along with that awkward, serious voice that managed to counter the impression of intelligence his accent encouraged. And the whole thing was just like him just swearing about how he doesn't drink shit whiskey anymore. But like delivering it like it's the actual proper speech. And everyone, what exactly is a pony shagging, bitch-faced ballbuster? I haven't heard pony shagging before, so I guess there is that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was kind of a morale boost for the office, and this it ends with Ben smiling slyly at his pet rabbit, aka Mel, because
Yep.
she's his pet now. And yeah, so yeah, earlier on in the story as well, he's trying to talk to Adam, and Mercy comes in with hot chocolate, and he's like, "I wanted a minute to talk to Dad," and she's like, "No, I'm here now." So that's where that comes in. But if tell me that Adam and Mercy are not Ben's parents. They don't need children.
are.
They have Ben. And now we have
Although
Hollow.
apparently they gave up Aiden for adoption.
Look, I don't like that Aiden no longer lives with them, but at least I think it's because she just didn't want to have to deal with like being like a 10-year-old boy in the house, a millennia-old 10-year-old boy. Because at least with Jessie, like she's a teenager, like Jessie can be left home alone. It's fine. But when there's kids, it makes it harder, right? But at least she found a way in universe to have him not be in the house anymore without it being like, we just don't want to have a child in the house, which is Hoel needs him.
Yeah.
And Hoel has moved out. So he's gone with Hoel. Pronounced Hoel.
Yeah.
The audiobooks
In the
just
Spanish
made me
tradition.
happy. Hoel pronounced Hoel.
Sorry, I know that. I don't know why that line sticks out to me. It just does.
I also look. I know Lila says coyote like with the 3 syllables, right? But I never know how in Patty's head it's meant to be pronounced because she specifies someone pronouncing it as a 3 syllable in one book, and then in the next book as a 2 syllable. I'm like,
yeah.
well,
So she says
way are
2
we-
syllable. So she says 2 syllable. Someone says it the 2 syllable way. Because in English
Gordon
and in
Seeker
Spanish,
says
coyote has the same number of syllables. It's just pronounced differently. But there's lots of people in America that call them coyotes, which is 2 syllables.
Yeah.
I'm
And the first time she specifies it wasn't river marked. I think it was the book before river marked. I'm just letting her have her conversation. You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. Ooh, I think what books before Rivermarked?
Better than
What book was it? What?
What book is before Rivermarked?
Silverborn.
Okay, it might have been in Silverborn. I can't picture who though, but I think it was someone in that book because the 3-syllable what is it what I'm thinking of? The
Waiota?
emphasis that it's 3 syllables was the first one. So I was like, oh, I guess in Patty's head everyone's saying coyote. But then when she meets Gordon Seeker says coyote, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
But yet 3 syllable is emphasized first, and then second 2 syllables is emphasized second. And I'm like, I don't know how we're supposed to be saying it. To me, coyote is a 3-syllable word.
Yeah, coyote is a 3-syllable word. Like I said,
Coyote
both the
makes me
Spanish,
really uncomfortable.
both the English and Spanish pronunciations are 3 syllables.
Until you get to the
But
West
there
and
but there
rural
are
Canada
lots
for
of
some reason.
people that pronounce it like
Yeah.
coyote.
Yes.
Or
Watching Heartland and then like looking into it more and everything, it seems to be the 2 syllables seems to be more cowboy adjacent.
yes, it's a
'Cause
rural thing
in
usually.
Heartland, yeah, in Heartland, which is set in Alberta, Canada, all the cowboys say coyote and everyone else says coyote.
What did you say?
So I pronounce it.
Yeah, your dad was a cowboy,
That's true.
a literal cowboy
That's true.
in Colorado. So she was just saying like it seems like it's a cowboy thing, and I was like, yes, it is.
Coyote.
I'm guessing his dad 2 syllables it. How does he say it?
Yes, he says coyote. His dad says coyote anyway.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
What? Why? What's wrong with it?
I don't like the 2 syllable sounds
The
weird to me.
upside down person talking shit.
Yes, I am.
I'm very used to hearing it. It doesn't faze me at all.
I don't like that he calls me an upside down person though.
Sorry.
Okay,
sorry.
sorry.
He's like that.
Huh?
No, I'm teasing. It's fine.
He doesn't have a different setting.
That's fine. Neither does my husband. It's fine. They are who they are, aren't they?
Yeah, you.
What am I?
She was unhappy that you called her an upside down person.
She is an upside down person.
And I stop that. It's rude. and I was apologizing for you.
No, and it's okay that she's upside down.
No,
But she-
that makes
but
it
she-
sound so. And
but
it's
she-
okay. It's okay that she's like that. It's like I think one of the most bigoted things you ever. It's okay that she's like that.
Look, at least the wild dogs we have in the U.S. are wild and not feral.
I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna lie. I imagine we do have feral dogs. I just have never seen one. We have
Just
dingoes.
ignore him. Just ignore him. It's okay.
Oh, quick change of topic for a second onto something completely unrelated. I learned something horrifying. Horrifying.
Okay.
It's about otters, but not freshwater otters. It's about sea otters. I don't know if this applies to freshwater otters. River otters, is that what they are?
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't
otters.
have otters here. Yeah, sea otters. Apparently, the girls are fine and they're delightful. The boys, however, I learned that when they mate, they hold the female's head underwater, and if she is an adult, she will be fine. She will be fine if she's an adult. If she is an adolescent, because they don't care that she's an adolescent, they're still gonna like get that ass, right? She will drown, and
That's awful.
he will not stop. He will still finish, and then he'll go, and then he'll look at her floating, drowned corpse and go, you know what? Now I have a fuck toy for the next few months. So apparently the sea is filled with adolescent, like teenage female otter corpses being fucked
I don't like that.
by necrophiles. And I'm okay with that. And I also learned that male, I don't know if this is exclusive to bottlenose dolphins or all dolphins, but male dolphins are at the very least bottlenose dolphins, probably more though. When it's mating time, they don't go like, oh, like I'm gonna be a male and have sex with this female. They're like, no, I need 4 of my bros to come and gang rape a bitch for a month. So they do. And apparently they wrap eels around their penises for pleasure as well. They use eels as fleshlights, and apparently they can grab stuff with their penis to take it with them to fuck later.
I don't like that either. Why do you know all this?
TikTok.
Great. Thank you, TikTok. You want to talk about the last story now?
Hello, sure. Some woman is like, hey man, I'm in love with someone and he has a ghost, help. And she's like, okay, I'll help. And then she helps.
Yep. Anyway, so the outtake from Night Broken takes place while it's one of the chapters from, it's a chapter from Adam's perspective.
It's at
it
the
takes place
end.
while Mercy, like,
you missed the outtake from Silverborn, babe. Why?
Oh,
Why'd you miss the outtake from Silverborn? Why?
I forgot.
Why would you miss that one?
Really
Could it be because it's Sam?
I forgot. I genuinely did forget.
So this one is while Mercy is in Elfame.
Yes.
And it's been 2 weeks in reality since she's been down there. For her, it's been like 5 minutes. She's having a nap. She's fine. Bran's on the way. And Sam and Ariana, Ariana's like, I'm so sorry. If only I had been stronger. And he's like, you're so strong, baby. And I love you. And I want you to be my mate. And she's like, I'll be your mate. And then they're mates. And that's the outtake. Okay. The outtake.
Which is like, I'm sorry. I guess like me, because I don't care about them. I'm like, not now, guys. You're busy.
Well, that's why she didn't put it in. In her defense, that's why she didn't put it in.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, you mean if you were a character in the book? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
We've also learned from this as well, though, that her husband, bless him, Patty's husband reads her books, because my husband, after reading Silver, told me I needed to remind readers that there's a happy ending to Samuel and Ariana's story, even if it was a long time later. So that's why she wrote this outtake. So then that way, because her husband read the book and he was like, but are they together or are they not?
Yeah, they're obviously together. It's okay, sir.
Like, don't make them wait a year to get that confirmation. So she's like, fine, I won't. So she did it.
I
Okay,
felt
so
like
yeah,
I
the
knew that they were together at the end of that.
look, as soon as he walked into that room and he was like, "Hey, baby, it's me," and she's like, "It's you," and she's like, "Yeah, it's me," and she's like, "Oh, I thought I'd never see you again." He's like, "I know, but I'm here," and Mercy's like, "Wow, Sam has a crush," and he's like, "I have love," and you know,
Yeah.
like as soon as they see each other on page for the first time, it was obvious. It's fine. And I can remember how excited you were that happened because it meant that we probably wouldn't be seeing Sam much. Which, congratulations, you were right.
I was like, bye.
He pops in every so often for a
Bye
couple books,
forever.
and then he's in Africa with his apparently because his missus is pregnant, and they need to.
Yeah, I
hide
was like,
off.
feel free not to write or call or come back.
I'm pretty sure it's like she only brought Ariana in because she's just like, well, I've got nothing to do with this guy. I need a reason to fuck him off. Because there's no.
Well, it's either you let him drive off a bridge, which was an option. We didn't have to say.
Look, and
You could have let him.
look, I do feel though that would be
'Cause
kind
I'm
of
like,
a
what's the
tragedy
difference?
because he is tied for oldest werewolf in existence based on when they were
guess.
turned. And I'm not gonna lie, it always pisses me off that in every book everyone's like, oh well, you know, the Morocco and it, like, you know, the Morocco's so old, and they never mention, like, it's like, you know, he, like when Azil's like I don't know, maybe Bran's older, maybe I'm older, who knows? Bran doesn't remember when he was turned, and it's like, but what about Sam? He was turned at the exact same time.
Yeah.
But it's always Bran focused. And I'm not taking mercy assuming that Sam was like only like 60 or something. And that he was younger than Charles when she was growing up. I'm not taking that as everyone's opinion because it seems like everyone knows that Sam is older than Charles, except for Mercy because, like, you know, she was a kid. It's fine. And I don't think it's a secret that Sam was Bran's child from when they were human.
No, because Mercy knows it, I'm going to assume it's not a secret. Because Mercy actually is not privy to that many secrets.
Well, again, especially considering she was a literal child and she left when she was 16. And Sam wasn't going to be like, hey, by the way, Mercy, baby, I love you. Let's run away together. By the way, I'm almost 2,000 years old. Because I feel like that's not really a great come on.
Also, I don't know. I guess Silverborn, like, also always left, like, a weird taste in my mouth because, like, you know, we have this whole arc of learning that Sam is a weirdo that wanted an incubator. And then is like, oh, a woman I see as a person. I'm going to leave now.
Well, look, I'm glad.
Am I wrong?
Look, what was he going to do?
Not.
Stay? What was he going to stay living in the trailer? Like, and be like,
no,
I know that, like,
I'm not saying
centuries.
I'm not.
But, like,
I'm not saying he should have.
Maybe we can do moving that in the trailer, Mercy. We can have a double date in the trailer.
I didn't say you should stay in the trailer. What I'm saying though is that I think that we all know that Sam needed to do the work himself and maybe think about why he's been hunting for an incubator for so long and why he maybe doesn't see any of his other partners as people. Before we go run off and get mated. I'm just saying that, like, maybe even for Ariana's sake, you know, because she has to now be in a relationship with him, that maybe he should some introspection that's not brooding would be valuable. Maybe some therapy.
Ridiculous.
By the way, are there like werewolf therapists? Because like there has to be like a werewolf therapist. You know what I mean?
Well, Anna
Well,
is.
no, I'm thinking about this
even makes the comment like people just start like randomly telling Anna all of their deepest, darkest secrets and their biggest fears, and she's like, maybe I should go do a course in counseling.
Well, because I'm saying nobody is more traumatized than like all of these magical critters. They could all benefit from like.
I think they talk to their alpha, and then when the alphas need help, they call Bran, and when Bran needs help, he's just like, I need to go fuck you now so the beast doesn't come out.
But I'm like, there's nobody. I'm like, Samuel has like a cycle on like a very long-term menstrual cycle that's super regular, has gone back to medical school every X amount of years. Okay. To become a doctor so that he can be around blood and feel bad for himself.
And I love how as soon as he meets Ariana, he's like, fuck that medical degree. We're going to Africa, baby.
Sorry, I don't think so. So I'm like, there's no way there's not like some poor schmuck that was turned into a werewolf that like went around at all these other poor schmucks that were turned into werewolves and isn't like, we all be like, and goes and gets a psych degree. Like,
look, in this world's defense, this all takes place. When did Moon Called come out? Because that the year that came out. Okay, well, year 0 is 2006, by the way. So now in universe, we're in like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
Everyone isn't speaking their truth and going to therapy yet. We still got to wait another 10 years.
I guess.
Okay.
I'm just saying, I really think that like as we move forward, maybe
you just gotta wait another 10
they're
years
already bound, like they're already bound by confidentiality. Like I think, I mean, Mercy says that she went and got counseling, you know.
Well, there often are like months between books. There's very few
but
books
I gotta
that pick up where the last one left
But
off.
I will say now, I forget what book that's in. I will say now though, looking at like the timeline, she must have like talked to somebody once, which is not how therapy post-trauma works, but okay. She just walked in and was like, hi, and they were like, hi, and that was it.
Well, Adam kissed away all of her trauma, remember? He kissed it away.
Anyway, so the last thing is the outtake from Night Broken, which is a chapter from Adam, and if it was correct, it was pretty.
That's right, because Mercy had like a neck snapped or something, and Coyote fixed it.
Yes.
And Adam's like, I'm displeased with this. And Coyote's like, hello, I'm getting a drink. Do you want one? And he's like, Mercy doesn't like orange juice. And Coyote's like, neither do I. And he's like, well, like father, like daughter. And he's like, indeed. And he's like, thanks for saving my wife. And Coyote's like, but did I save her? Bye. And leaves. And then Adam's like, Mercy looks hot. And then it ends. Because now he's standing up. With her butt poking out of a hospital gown with bunnies and ducks on it.
Yeah, the description we get from Adam is interesting.
Yeah, she looked for a moment like because I got it right here. She looked for a moment like a pagan warrior goddess, A goddess clad in one of those ridiculous open-backed gowns with some silly bunny and duck pattern running in vertical lines from hem to shoulder. She looked over at him, and he's looking at her from behind, right? And it's tied up in the back, so he's just like, my wife's so hot with her bunny and duck hospital gown with her ass poking out between the bunny and the duck. Pagan goddess. Epitome right there. Look, I don't care. I don't care how hot your husband finds you. Okay, he's not looking at you in a bunny and duck gown. He's not looking at you in a plain hospital gown going, yeah, I could fuck that. No, never. He would never. But we're also talking Adam and Mercy. And I cannot remember who asked this question, but it was a couple books ago. So Tad, maybe. It might have been Tad. And when he was like, do they always flirt using Bible verses? And someone else responds, they can flirt with a TV remote instruction manual. Like, and they're not wrong. Mercy and Adam are disgusting.
Adam, yeah, they are. They're like very horny parents, and it's uncomfy.
But you know what though? I would go. I'm not there yet. It's coming in a couple books because I'm on Nightbroken, and Fire Touched is.
Oh
next.
no!
And that's when Nudge comes.
Yep.
I'm enjoying the lack of Nudge. Like I would go back to the Bible verse flirting. Because at least like it's like you know, there's actually like at least a little bit of wit there. Like they're doing like, you know, like you know, they're getting verses that like, you know, kind of like at least, you know, there's banter within it instead of just like Nudge.
Something interesting rereading all the books is Adam is not in them very much.
For half of them, he's missing or she's missing. He's gonna feature a lot in this one though, because I'm reading Nightbroken, and we get Christy, and I will put up with Christy for the entire book just for her to turn blue by the end.
I know it's
that
really
is the only reason why I tolerate her presence.
But when you actually pay attention, so like compared to other like urban fantasy or like paranormal romance or whatever, you might want to draw really close comparisons to. Adam is just not on screen very much.
Yeah, it's because this is one of the few where the romantic subplot is just that. It's a subplot. Like it's never. It doesn't drive any of the stories. The closest I can think of where it does is I can't remember which one it is. What the name of it is? The one where it was after Elizaveta dies, and and she curses him.
Smoke Bitten.
Yeah, that one. And like Mercy still got shit to do that whole book, right? But half the plot is like Adam is wrong. There's something wrong with Adam. And they have to break the curse.
Yeah.
That's the closest one where I can think of that their relationship is a major plot. Like even Rivermark, which is the book in which they get married, and the whole time they're on their honeymoon. It's their marriage and their honeymoon is just a plot device. It's a plot point to get them to where they need to be. That's it.
Yeah. But anyway, that is Shifting Shadows.
Yes. I enjoyed it. Whenever I do, I don't think I will skip it when I do my Mercyverse rereads.
I probably won't either. We'll definitely skip the first story, but otherwise, probably not.
You gotta
Sam,
skip
the Sam stuff I'll skip because I don't enjoy it, and I just genuinely don't enjoy it. Like, I'm sorry.
But why? He's amazing.
He's not.
My favorite book, my favorite that with Sam, like his plot within the book. That's what I mean. Is it's Iron Kissed, isn't it? Yeah.
What?
Iron Kissed. That's my favorite Sam plot. That's the one where that's the one where she gets raped, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, because that one, her and Sam have that chitty chat. Like she picks Adam finally, but Sam's doing good in that book. Like it's a little bit sad, but they managed to have some teasing banter that isn't she's like, you don't love me, I don't love you, but we love each other, but we're not in love. Let's be friends. And he's like, fine. And then they go out. And Tim's there, and he's like, "That's my girlfriend. Leave her alone." And their relationship in that book is fine. I don't think there's anything overly. Is that the one where we find out? No, that's not the one we find out about his dead baby. That's the next one. So yeah, that book is fine. Sorry, I'm talking really fast and rambling, but I think that's the only book though where his plot doesn't get eye rolly. And Moon Called, I guess, because he's kind of gets 20 minutes of page time in Moon Called.
Yeah.
So it's not much, but any that he's actually in prominently, I think Iron Kiss is the least insufferable one.
But anyway, I don't know what we're doing next.
Because Addie is unavailable for the next few weeks.
Yep. But we might do something between now and then.
Yeah. We'll work it out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But for now, we're just waiting impatiently for more information.
I know. Do we have any updates at all yet?
No.
I don't know.
Nothing.
We normally at least have a title. I don't think it's coming out this year.
I would agree with you because I'm looking at
because there's nothing. It has no cover. It has no title. No date. We're already past a year since the last one got released. I think. No, almost at a year. I think it ended up coming out in August, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything? Okay, let's have a look at her Facebook. Sorry, I'm just having a look at the different places. I imagine it would be on her website if anything was released, but Patricia.
Yeah,
Brooks,
I'm on her website. I don't see anything.
Yeah. No. There's nothing on Goodreads. And Facebook now. She did an interview in 12th of July. Patty did an interview recently with the lovely folks at the Tri-Cities Arts Center Task Force. Cool. She should be busy. Yeah, there's a couple of things posted this month, but not but it's mostly quotes. Just quotes describing each character that encapsulate each character. And the UK paperback edition of Soul Taken is out now. That's it. Oh, yeah. There's a photo of her in June. I'm pretty sure she had like cancer or something. Like she's not well.
I mean, we don't know.
I
Ethan.
don't know. She looks sickly compared to her other photos of her. I don't know. There's something's going on with her. She looks sickly in that photo. She just
Anyway.
needs to at least wrap the series up. Then I can't. Mercy needs to have her twins already. Okay, she brought Walkie back. Okay, because Mercy needs her twins now. And then I imagine the series will end with Mercy either being pregnant with twins or birthing twins. Like that'll be the epilogue. Because Mercy can't have babies and the series continue.
But we'll
Yeah. And we'll
yeah,
work
we
we'll work
will
out
do
what we're gonna
something.
do. Because just because Addie's not going to be available doesn't mean we can't do a thing.
Yep. And yeah, so that's that.
Okay.
I'm still bad at signing off. Okay, bye.
Bye.